Hey, vinyl community, it's Dwayne Rock and Doc back with part two of the November mail order finds and also vinyl finds for my last trip to Edmonton. Um, and there's a lot of stuff here, so this might be a long one. But I got to correct a grave mistake I made in my last video. The population of Lloydminster is 32,000, not 150,000 like I said in the last video. I don't know where that came from, just pulling a number out of my ass, I guess, but no, we're not quite that big yet. And it'll probably be a long time, if ever we'll be that big. Anyways, just in case you've never seen one of my videos before, I live in Lloydminster. It's a border town or border city. Half or part of the city's in Saskatchewan, parts in Alberta. I live on the Alberta side, and Lloydminster is about, if you're coming down Highway 16, which is like a secondary highway in Western Canada. Lloydminster is about halfway between Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and Edmonton, Alberta, which are the two closest bigger cities. So anyways, now that I got that out of the way, let's get right into it. First up, I saw a video on YouTube. A guy was talking about this album, and it looked really interested, and I've heard about these gals before, and I wanted it. So I looked on Discogs, and I found a guy in Japan that had the album, and he also had a couple other things I wanted too. So first off, I grabbed this one, the Bobby Teens. It's almost an all-girl band. It's these gals with a drummer. This guy was on their first two albums, and then they got a drummer, I think, for their next album. Anyways, this is their second album, came out in 2002. They're a garage punk band with kind of power pop leanings, and I have to make little notes because I tried doing a couple times without notes, and I forget stuff, so I have to make notes. Forgive me. Anyways, there's the back cover with the track listing, and there's a little insert, a different kind of pose from the cover shot, and I guess you could probably suitable for framing, I guess. Anyways, when I got that one, he also had their very first album, which came out in 1998, and this is again a little bit garagey, but more on the punk side. It's a lot rawer than that second album, and I didn't realize when I first found out about these gals. The guy was talking about it in that video I mentioned. Well, there's the back cover with the listing, but this has the lead singer's, her name's Tina Lucchese. I hope I'm getting that right. She used to be in another kind of punk band, all-girl punk band called the Trash Women, who I have a couple of their singles. And then this is something that I got last year. It's again Tina. That was called Tina and the Total Babes. This was the 20th anniversary album. And there's the different band this time. It's just her with a new band. So I also got from the same guy another band that I really like, another all-girl trio, but again they're another they always have a drummer, but it's basically those three gals, and this is their debut from 2008, and they're from New York City, and they play kind of a power pop, punk pop um, kind of music. And I have, I think I have all their albums now. I just needed this one. This is their first one, and it doesn't say on the cover or the back the title of the album, but it's actually called The First One, and it comes in this neat color, half pink and half blue. Great band. If you ever come across any of their stuff, I highly recommend it. Then another, some more mail order stuff that I got from, I've gotten stuff from this guy before. He used to own a record store in Vancouver, and if he was there when I was living in Vancouver, I probably shopped at his store before it closed. But the store is called Scratch Records. When he sent the stuff, he sent it in. I guess he's got some of these bags left, so he sent me stuff in the bags. But I got quite a bit of stuff from him because he always has great stuff that I'm into. First off, a 10-inch from the B movie Rats. This is called Rock and Roll Queen, and this is their mini album. Like I said, 10-inch mini album from 2002, and this is ass kicking, straight ahead, hard rock. And if you're into stuff like the Helicopters, the Super Suckers, Nashville Pussy, Road Sauce, bands like that, you'll probably like this album. And I like this so much that I went online and ordered a couple of their albums, which I just got in the other day. So that'll be in my next video, online finds for December. Although I think their earlier stuff was a little more punkier than this stuff is. And this is in a like a fold-out sleeve. It's not actually a jacket. And there's some pictures of the band there. There's the back cover with the track listing. And actually, the last song they do on side 2 is Rock and Roll Queen, which is a Mott the Hoople cover. It's also got, because this guy always has great garage rock stuff. I got some garage rock bands. Here's a band I never heard of, the Silhouettes. The album's called 12 Cuts, and they're a Dutch garage rock band. This is their debut from 2003. There's the back cover. There's a little blurb on here about the band. Also got a couple albums from another really great garage rock label called Screamin' Apple Records. They're from Germany. Got this one, the Riviera Playboys, called Ambassadors of Rock and Roll. And this is their 4th and final album from 2005. Like I said, they're a garage rock band. They're from Rochester, New York. And it has the former Chesterfield King guitarist and the former Projectiles bassist. And I'll talk about the Projectiles right away, who are also happen to be from Rochester, New York. There's the back cover, track listing. Here's the Projectiles with their album Hanging Out, and it's more garage rock from Rochester, New York. Recorded at the same studio as the Riviera Playboys, and like I said, one of the guys in this band went on to the Riviera Playboys, and this is recorded in 1989, and for some reason that I couldn't find out why, but for some reason it wasn't released until 2004, even though it was recorded in in '89. There's the back cover. There's a little blurb, and they talk about that, about how the album was recorded but never released, but they don't tell you. They don't tell you why. And then another one that I got from this one again is from, like both of those last albums, is from Screaming Apple Records in Germany. This is the Primordials with 14 prime numbers, and this is their debut and only album from 2007. They're Canadian, and I think they're from Toronto, but I couldn't find any information at all about these guys. Like, I don't know, was it a band that just didn't go anywhere, or was it a side project from some other guys? But this album is kind of in the beat mod garage style, and it's all, as far as I can tell, it's all covers from 60s bands. There's a little thing about, they do like, if you remember some of the albums in the 60s, used to have a little blurb about each member of the band that told you absolutely nothing. And these are just made up ones. You know, like, it doesn't say, you know, their favorite color and shit like that. And it's sort of in that same vein. But like I said, I have no information about these guys. And this album is fucking killer. I love this album. But it was the only album, apparently, that they did. So that's the Primordials. Then I also got this one, the Boneras. It's a all-girl trio from Germany. They play a kind of a garage punk sound, and this is their third album from 2007. There's the back cover, the track listing, and there's an insert. You cut out all these little pictures here, and you fold them together, and it makes a car, which I'm not going to do. I'm just going to leave it intact. So another one I got, and this one I made a mistake on. I thought it was a Green Hornets album, and I really like the Green Hornets. I have a couple of their other albums, but this is not the same band. This is the Green Hornet, singular, with the album called Soul Scum. And even though it's not the band that I thought it was, I still like it. It's a pretty good album. They're a Dutch sort of garage rock. I was having a hard time figuring out what to call these guys, so I'm just going to stick with garage rock. But they do have 3 killer instrumental tracks on here that are really good. Some and very organ heavy. This is their third album from 2003. Not the band I thought it was, but still, even though I did make that mistake, it's still a really good album. And here's the back. It's got a little blurb there, but you probably won't be able to see it. And then another one I got, the Curses, and this is that's the title of the album right there. These, when you read something and they change the curse words into these different letters and stuff, but that's the title. That's the title of the album, and they're a Boston band. This is their debut, I believe, and I think their only album from 2003. And again, this was another band that I couldn't find much information about. There's the back cover with the track listing. And this is a really, really great album. It's kind of a punky hard rock sound with a touch of sound that's kind of like a bit of the Undertones if they played hard rock music. But a really good album. I really like it. So that's The Curses that's the title of the album right there. And lastly, from albums from this guy, I got this one, the M&Ms. The album's called Melts in Years 1980 to 1981. And this, and I left it in the shrink. Sorry for the glare, because I like to keep these hype stickers. But the hype sticker says unreleased power pop gems from 1980 to 1981, includes the hits I'm Tired and Knock Knock Knock, which was the only record they really released was that single. She was this girl, and her name was Marky. I forget what her last name is. Was at the time was Paul Collins' girlfriend, and he got them in a studio late at night, and they recorded some tracks, and those two tracks, I'm Tired and Knock Knock Knock, became their first single that he produced. And they did release apparently in Germany another single with My Boyfriend's Back, which is an old 60s tune. That was a big hit back in 63, I think. And they do a really good job of that. And there's some other tracks. One called Sweet Nothing. That's like my favorite track, and this is really good. And then there's some demo tracks and rehearsal tracks that are, the quality in those aren't the greatest, but they're still pretty good. And they also do a cover of He's a Rebel, another early 60s girl band that was a big hit. I think it was the Shangri-Las. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was the Shangri-Las. Anyways, most of this stuff was never been released before. That's the M&Ms. So then I got a bunch of singles from him, because he's always got great singles. And I'm just going to whip through these because I haven't even had a chance to listen to them. Couple of bands that I know, the Mants, they're from Victoria. They play garage rock, and they always perform. Apparently, I've never seen them, but apparently they always perform wearing suits and these ant masks. So that's the Mants. Some more Canadian. The Ramblin' Ambassadors, they're a instrumental rock, surf kind of band from Calgary. There's them on the back with not a real picture of them, because you notice you can tell their faces have just been pasted on that picture. Then this one I'd never seen before, the Pointed Sticks, and apparently this is after they got together in, I think it might have been, when did this come out? 2007 or 2009, something like that. They reunited to do a mini tour of Japan, and they released this single, My Japanese Fan. And apparently it came out in Japan first as a CD with the 2 tracks from the single, and 3 added video tracks, and then the single itself was released in Canada by Sudden Death Records, and I believe that's the label owned by Joey from DOA, I think. Anyways, that's the Pointed Sticks with My Japanese Fan. Then one of my favorite Swedish garage rock bands, the Nomad. Anytime I see a Nomad, something from the Nomads that I don't have, I pick it up. Here's I actually got this for the B-side. They do the White Barons with a split single with Electric Frankenstein, one of my favorite modern punk bands. Um, White Barons is a female fronted punk band. Then I got another one. Didn't actually realize till I got it that this is the Speed Freaks, another punk band, but it's a split with the Electric Frankenstein. So another great single from them. Also got the Makers. They're a U.S. garage rock band. I think they're from Portland. This is their Tagger of the Night single. There's the B-side. Then this one is a band featuring the lead singer from what I just showed you earlier, from the Bobby Teens, Tina Lucchese. That's her in the front there. And I think she did this before the Bobby Teens, maybe after she was in the Trash Women. There's the back cover, and this is again more kind of power pop-ish with a punk. And now we're getting into stuff that I really didn't listen to. The Maggots. They're on Gearheart or Gearhead, which is another label that they used to release some really good stuff. The Slammin' Were Pigs. Speedball Racer. Nice cover art in the back there. And there, this one has, I'm not going to pull them out, but there's some stickers and stuff inside this one. The Freaks, which they're more of a punk band. They look like a glam band. They have maybe a little bit of that element, but they're more of a punk band. And this jacket actually it's a fold-out jacket, and it turns into it's got all the information on it. The Destitutes. So I believe this is a punk band. The Fondas, and they have a female singer, which I'm pretty sure that's her in the cover. They're kind of a power pop band. And this one I actually listened to because I was curious. Pretty Vanilla with the In 7 Inches Deep. And I didn't know, I looked them up, and apparently they're from Vancouver. I didn't know at the time that I bought it that it was a Canadian band, because I like picking up Canadian stuff. But they're kind of sort of glammy, not real heavy glam, but kind of a poppy glam. And this Paper Tagger track, the first track and second side, has kind of a T-Rex kind of feel to it. But that's Pretty Vanilla, and I think this is the only single they ever released. Then I picked this one up simply for the fact that it's on Japaxrecords, and I love that label. I try and get as much as I can from that label. I haven't really listened to this. I believe they're kind of a garage punk band. They're called the Star Spangled Bastards, but like I said, it's on Estrits. It's going to be good. And I also picked this one up just because I figured with the name, the Neater Beatles, it would probably be good. And it's also on Screamin' Apple. But this is actually really good. It's kind of a mod beat kind of band. There's the back cover. And last one is the Goops. And I actually got this because I love the cover art, but it's actually quite a good record. And then it's really neat. It has a comic inside. The inner part has a comic. So that's kind of neat. Here's the back cover, more great artwork. And inside you get this fold-out poster. Well, let's go. So there's the band. So kind of neat. I thought it was. There's the actual record, and they're kind of if I remember correctly, I just quickly dropped it on. Oh, that's right. They do a really great cover of the song. What is it? Buttercup, which was again another. I can't remember the band that originally did it, but it was from I think the late '60s, and it was a big hit for them. Oh, it Build Me Up, Buttercup. That's the title. But they do it, and it's kind of a pop punk kind of band. Anyways, like I said, kind of neat stuff. So that was it for the mail order part 2. Mail order finds part 2 from last month. But I did go to Edmonton, and when I was there, I got some stuff there. I stopped in at one of my favorite record stores there called Freecloud. It's kind of a smaller store, but he always has some good stuff. Picked this one up from the Georgia Satellites, The Land of Salvation and Sin. This is their third album from 1989, and they never had another like top 40 hit after Keep Your Hands to Yourself, which was a big hit for them. I think it went to number 2 or something like that. But still great stuff from them, and it's a shame that nobody really paid much attention to them after that hit single they had on their first album. And after this album, their vocalist Dan Baird left the band. And there's the back cover. An interesting thing about this is when I pulled out the sleeve, it's got an A and B record sleeve, which is a store I shopped in when I lived in Vancouver. I shopped at it all the time at this location, the Seymour Street location, because my best friend, at the time, when I first met him, and then we became best friends. I became a co-host on a radio show with him called Power Chord, which was a heavy metal show on the UBC radio station in Vancouver. But he worked there, and I was there all the time, like I said, because I worked just across the street. So I was, like I said, I was there all the time. And then it finally closed. And I also got another one, and I didn't know who these guys were, except for on the price tag he had, it said Power Pop. So I figured, oh, what the hell, I'll grab it. And this is a band from Winnipeg, and this is the only album they did. It came out in 1980, and it's a really good album. Lots of really catchy power pop tunes. There's the back cover. The album's called On Air. The band is called the Teddy Boys. And lastly, from Freecloud, I got, oh, I'm just going to move some singles so I can put the records on there. I got this one, and I've been looking for these. I've got one of these. I've got volume 4. This is volume 3. These are super hard to find, and they're expensive. I paid not an enormous amount of money, but I paid a good price for this. And it's still sealed. I haven't even opened it yet. But this is a various artists compilation called Beat from Badsville, Volume 3. These are albums, and they're 10-inch albums, double albums. I'm not sure about Volume 1 and 2, but 3 and 4, and I think they only did four albums. But these are songs put together by Lux and Ivy from the Cramps with singles out of their personal collection. So glad I found that. And I also went to Record Collector's Paradise. They're another. They're probably have one of the biggest used selections in Western Canada. And I actually, they're having a sale on for. They have 2 parts to their store. Their regular store, and you have to go out of that store, and it's in the same building, but you have to go in a different door. It's actually where their warehouse used to be, but they moved all their stuff to a new warehouse, and then they opened this other store, and they sort of switch it up, I think, every month with different stuff. Last sale they had was 12-inch singles, so the whole store was filled with 12-inch singles. This time around, it was everything was $4.95, and the sale actually started till Friday, and I didn't get there till a Monday. And I actually took a box with me because I figured, oh boy, I'm gonna find a lot of great stuff, or a lot of stuff, cheap heat. But I didn't get nothing because I don't know, maybe it was all picked over. But by the time, like I said, the sale started on Friday, and by the time I got there on Monday, it was crap. It was all common shit where they had 50, 75 copies of the same albums, all in not very good shape. It had stuff like every Pat Benatar album, a bunch of Elton Johns, the Bee Gees, Eagles, stuff like, where they had a whole bin, and like their bins are fairly deep. When I'm looking through them, I have to like stand on my tiptoes because I'm short to reach the back of the bins. And you'd have a whole bin with Pat Benatar albums and Elton John albums, and there was a couple of things that I was looking at that I would have taken, but they were in rough shape. It's like I wouldn't even buy them at $4.95. It's stuff that everything I looked at, and most of the stuff this is just my opinion, I think should have been for $1. That's what it was. Lots of shit in rough shape. So it's in my opinion, it shouldn't have been more than $1. So I was all excited about finding some cheap heat for $4.95, and I didn't get nothing. But I did get some stuff in the regular part of their store. I got this one. I already have this one. I've gone through a couple of these looking for a copy in decent shape. This is a kind of a hard rock band from. This album came out in '73, I believe. The band's called Painter, and I have this album, like I said, and I decided to get this one because they had it on for a reasonable price. This is a promo copy. They had a hit with a song called West Coast Woman, which is a great song. Maybe check it out on YouTube. But they stuck this sticker over. You can see it a bit there, where the original. It was same thing. It said Painter right there, but they stuck this sticker on over top, and says contains the hit, the West Coast Woman, and then it's got a little promo sticker in the bottom. And I don't go wild trying to find these things, but it's a white label promo. So like I said, I already have it, but I thought it'd be kind of neat to get the white label promo. And that band was started by two former members of another band called 49th Parallel. And after this band, I think they only did the one album. But after they split up, the same two members that started that band formed this band called Hammersmith. And again, it's kind of a radio-friendly kind of classic rock. There's the back with a picture of the band all looking cool. There's the track listing. And I've never heard this album before, and it's actually a fairly decent album. There's a couple of tracks. Where is it? Money Rock. That's a really good track. I'm figuring if they would have got some radio play and some promotion, they could have been a fairly, decent, well-known band. They could have been up there with April Wine, another Canadian band that I'm sure everybody knows. But anyways, they only did 2 albums, and I think this one's their second one, self-titled. No, this is the first one. And I showed in another video, I showed I got their second album a while back, and I showed that one. But that's Hammersmith. Then I picked this one up because I've got her first album, Martha Velez, that I really liked. It's kind of a hard rock and blues with touches of blues on her first album. And it had a lot of really big names like as guest musicians on the first album, which right now I can't remember. I do know Eric Clapton and Stan Webb from Chicken Shack played on her first album. But this is her third album, and it's from 1973, and it's more of a adult contemporary pop. So I was a little disappointed with it, but it's still a pretty good album. And there's a picture of the back. Oops. With the track listing. Martha Velez, and the album's called Matinee Weepers. So it's a little on the tame side, but still not a bad album. She's got a great voice. And I also picked this one up, Good Thunder. This is the only album they did from 1972, and they're kind of a psych prog hard rock band. Some members went on to a band called the LA Jets with singer Karen Lawrence, and then after that they continue on as a band called 1994. So it's not a groundbreaking album, but it's still pretty good if you see it around. And these things are always fairly cheap. I think I paid, well, Record Collector's Paradise isn't known for having real cheap prices, but I think I only paid $12 or $15 for that. And there's the back with the band all sitting around looking cool with the track listing. Then I picked this one up. I've had this one before, and then again in the Great Purge. And I forget what year I did that purge, when I had all my records sitting in boxes in storage, and they'd sat there for years and years and years, and then I finally said, well, I don't have a turntable anymore or stereo, and I don't listen to records anymore, and I'm just going to sell them. So I sold a whole shitload of my records. But anyways, this video's getting kind of long. This is the Lime Spiders from Australia. It's their second album from 1989, and they're a garage rock band with touches of psych in it. Excellent, excellent album called The Cave Comes Alive. So if you see any of their stuff, pick it up. There they are in the back. And I also got this one just because I have the first album by them. The band's called Flame. This is a self-titled second release, and I think they only released 2 albums. This one came out in 78, and it's female-fronted, again, kind of that radio-friendly classic rock style. There's the back cover, showing the band, the track listing. And again, nothing great, but they're all right. And then I picked this one up because I don't have any records from them, the box tops, and I thought, well, this is probably a good place to start. The Best Of album. And the only track that I really remember of theirs is The Letter, which was their big hit single. But other tracks on here that I'm familiar with was Sweet Cream Ladies and Trains, Boats, and Planes, except they spelt it wrong, both on the cover and the back cover of the record, but it's also spelt wrong on the label. So that's the box tops Best Of. And then another older one that I picked up. And again, this wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought that it was going to be a surf rock, because their first album was surf rock from the Astronauts, and I have that first one. And they're classified as a surf rock band. But here they're actually just doing like current kind of hits. I don't think any of these tracks are self-written. I think they're all covers. And they're kind of like 60s kind of, stuff of. Like Memphis, Tennessee, and Seventh Son, Sweet Little Rock and Roller. That kind of stuff. That if you listen to the radio back in those days, you would have been familiar with those songs. Anyways, it's the Astronauts, Down the Line. And lastly, because this video is getting way too long, this is a comp album called Oh Canada, which is actually bands covering, I don't know if you can see it right there. It says a collection of Canadian punk rock covers. And it's covers done by other Canadian bands, and then there's some other bands doing well-known, most of them are fairly well-known covers, from DOA and the Modernettes and Teenage Head, Subhumans, Pointed Sticks, that kind of stuff. And apparently there's a volume 2 to this one, but I don't think I've ever seen it. Anyways, that's whoa, that was a long one. I hope you you stick through right till the end. Anyways, that was my part 2 of my November online finds, plus my recent vinyl finds in November in Edmonton. So I probably won't be doing another video till the new year, and I don't do those, my best of 2025 kind of videos, those best of the year videos. I don't do those, so I won't be doing one of those. Anyways, like I said, I probably won't see you till the new year, so have a great Christmas and a happy new year. And again, take it easy out there. Winter conditions, and unless you live in way down south. So take it easy on those roads. And please, during the holiday season and New Year's, please don't drink and drive. Anyways, this is Rock and Doc. saying stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you again in the next video, which I think might include some Forbidden Dimensions, because that same guy from Scrape Records has a couple of their really early singles, but he wants a bit of money for them. So in the new year, I'm going to try and talk him into giving me a deal on the two first singles from them, and they're a garage kind of horror rock band from Calgary. So we'll see you next time.